Namaskar. You know, whenever we set out on a long journey, we have to prepare ourselves quite well. In the same way, our spiritual journey needs a good preparation in order to complete it. So in this video, I'd like to share some of the things that I have learned in my long travels on the spiritual path, some hints or advices or tools that I hope will help you too. First is keeping excellent physical health. That might seem overly obvious, but of course, you know, because the body is the container of our mind and the spirit. So when it's in good health and energetic, our meditation can be profound. And conversely, because there's such a close relationship between our physical being, our mental well-being, physical and mental well-being, that we should very much pay attention. And that's why in our channel, we have so many different practices, especially for the physical health. Our asanas, our tandava for the brothers, kaushiki, dance, sentient vegetarian diet, and other daily practices like the sentient vegetarian, the daily bath, and drinking water, at least 2 to 3 liters of water every day. And then occasional practices like the fasting, twice a month. You know, Dada Sadananda, he has made, all of our practices are encoded in the 16 points. And Dada has made several videos, very instructive videos on these points. And if you look at them, the first 8 of them are related to the physical body. So as it's the base, it's the most important aspect and first aspect that has to be in good shape before we navigate the long journey. And some mental tools would be, first that comes to mind is patience. You know, when Neil Armstrong stepped on the moon, the first thing he said was a small step for man, a giant leap for mankind. So in the same way, when we learn meditation, our personal meditation from our Dada or our Didi, we've taken the first step of many, many, many steps after. And in order for us to continue to walk one after another, we need staying power. And so that means we should have patience with ourselves. And, you know, there's a saying in English, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So not to have any doubt or worry, just everything will unfold in its proper time for us. You know, I was reading a cartoon, and in the cartoon, the businessman is asking the yogis, climbing up the mountain. Halfway up the mountain, he meets the yogi, and he says, well, my car's double parked. How long will it take me to get self-realization? So that's not the type of patience that will get us very far. And my master said that patience and spirituality, they are inseparable friends. And I know in my own experience that when I'm impatient, it means I'm disconnected to my spiritual self. And so that is important advice. And next is keep a good judgment. You know, it's important to develop a good judgment, because from the moment we learn meditation, we begin to experience many reactions from previous actions. Those are called samskaras. You know? And we might find ourselves in different places with different people at different times. So it requires us to learn when we should be non-compromising and when we should be flexible in our attitude in these different situations. So whether, for example, I pick up my son, or I attend the urgent staff meeting, or I give feedback to my partner now, or I wait until a more opportune moment, or whether I accept that a criticism of me or I remain firm on my principles. So we're constantly making these kind of decisions every day. And the more we can base our decisions on the 10 moral principles, the yamas and niyamas, which we teach in our channel, the more we strengthen our moral base. And the more we stay aligned to our life purpose, that life goal we've chosen to move towards. And the next advice is to take, prepare and plan for the best outcome, but prepare for the worst in case. So in this way, we do our best. Because, we have the right to the fruits of action, but we don't have the rights. We have the rights to the action, but not the rights to the fruits of the action. So it's important to, to plan and prepare and do as best we can, whatever it is, in any situation, in any activity. But also, we should expect the worst outcome in case it doesn't happen as we had hoped. So this increases our staying power. Next is to trust in the benevolent well-wisher, in that universal benevolent well-wisher. My master said, hitaishna presito pavarga. Behind every reaction to action lies a divine wish of welfare. We may not be feeling that all the time, especially when we're going through a difficult time or something very painful or something very shocking happens to us. But actually, this is sometimes the reactions to actions we don't know about from before. They may be playing themselves out at that time. So it's important to always see the positive side of life. I have learned this many times when I'm transferred from one country to another country halfway across the globe. So all of my attachments are broken, my comfort zone is diminished, reduced, and I have to learn a new culture or a different way of looking at things. But on the other side, I appreciate the broad diversity of human expression, and I enrich my own personality that way. And the next advice is to take refuge in the all-powerful entity. The lows will come. Life is full of ups and downs. Meditation full of ups and downs. So the lows will come. And so how do we manage those low periods so that we continue to stay on our journey, we move on our road? And my master, when he was asked this question by the disciple, he gave 3 advices. And the first was kirtan, chanting of the mantra, universal mantra, Papanam Kevalam, and really feeling from within that meaning that only the name of that most beloved being or love is everything. So this is the first advice. And second is swadhyaya, reading an inspirational passage. Just sometimes the words from that passage doesn't have to be long. It could even be a paragraph, but those words remain with us and lift us, carry us through the whole day. And the third is satsanga, good company. You've heard it many times in our channel. But the fact is, the company of one good person or 2 or more good persons, it can really lift us out of our doldrums and remind us or reconnect us to that all-powerful universal consciousness that was, that subtle vibrations, when we can feel them, it quenches our emptiness. So, there was a story that I read about a rich man. He had 4 wives. He was a merchant. And the 4th wife, he gave all of his attention and care for her. He loved her the most. And the 3rd wife, he also loved her very much, and he'd show her off to all of his friends and his associates. But he was afraid maybe she would leave him one day for other men. And his 2nd wife was close to him, and she was his business partner, took care of all of the dealings in his business and made sure it ran very well and kept all the contacts in good order. And the 1st wife, he didn't give much importance to. She was there, but he rather neglected her. So it came that the rich merchant was going to die, and he realized that, what will happen? Will I be alone when I leave the earth? And so he approached his 4th wife, and he said, "Now, it looks like I'm going to die. Will you accompany me to the other side?" And she said, "No way, I'm staying here." And she walked away. It really hurt him so badly. And then he approached his 3rd wife, and he said, "Now it looks like I'm going to leave my body. Will you accompany me to the other side?" And she said, "Life is so good here. I will stay here and maybe marry someone else when you go." And he was feeling very much disappointed with this reply. And he desperately turned to his 2nd wife and asked, "You've been with me through so many thicks and thins and helped me so much. Will you accompany me when I leave my body?" And she said, "Well, I can't really do that, but the best I can do is give you a decent burial and see you off well." And with this state of mind of hopelessness, he he heard a voice behind him, and it was his first wife. And she said, "I'll go with you. Wherever you go, I'll be there always." And as he saw, she was quite neglected, and he realized that he had never taken good care of her at all. So the story goes that we all have 4 wives. And the 4th wife is our body. We usually lavish all of our, give it the finest clothing and make it look beautiful every day. But of course, it doesn't remain with us when we die. It dies. And we leave. Our mind and spirit leave. And the second is our possessions, our wealth. We like to show them off to our friends and family, but they also remain behind when we go. And our second wife is our family, our friends, and they also can go up to as far as possible with us, but not beyond that. But that which is the first wife is our soul, that permanent entity. We call it the supreme person or the supreme consciousness. It always was and always will be. And so it's very important to cultivate that relationship. And through meditation, we cultivate it. The mantra, the meaning of the mantra, ideating, trying to feel the meaning of that mantra that we get. It every day connects us to that permanent, subtle, invisible entity. And, we grow that relationship. It might seem very strange listening now, but as you develop more, as we practice more and more, that relationship matures. Its understanding and its conception opens up, and we grow with it as we develop spiritually as well. And that is the most precious relationship because it's permanent, it's immediate, and it's non-judgmental. And the next advice is to have a good sense of humor. Laugh a lot. One of my colleagues, he's the most popular because he's always helping us to laugh and make us light. And my master would always, in any time when there's reporting or we have to report our progress, he will always make sure that whenever we leave that room, we are in a very high spirit, happy mood, telling some jokes or something or another. We always leave motivated to do more and more work for humanity. So, one good thing about practicing is that there comes a stage when, as you continue to practice, that your body is so fit and your mind is so finely tuned that you don't need a lot of practice to get into, to stay healthy and to get into a pleasant state of mind. I was with one of my colleagues. He's 87 years old. He's still doing dry fasting the last year in India. And he radiates a beautiful, gentle vibration of mental peace because he's been meditating for so long. So my master described 3 stages of spirituality. The first stage is spirituality as a practice. So the practices are here, and we're here, and we're trying to practice them. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. We're overcome by our laziness or our selfishness, and we don't practice regularly. But if we somehow continue to practice and continue, we actually reach the second stage, which is spirituality as a essence. And so that's a stage where the practices are not anymore external, but they become internal. And we become a spiritualist, a genuine spiritual person. We have adopted a spiritual lifestyle as opposed to, materialistic lifestyle, other type of lifestyle. So just like a fish can't live without water, we can't live without our practices. They are the essence of our being. And the third stage is spirituality as a mission. So we become a type of missionary. It doesn't mean we wear the orange dress or we leave our families, not at all. But it means we become change agents. Spirituality is so deep within us, we radiate that, which we have been meditating on every day. And so we inspire others. It's a type of mission. Even we are not apparently a missionary, but by our very presence, we are the candle that lights other candles. So these are the 3 stages of spirituality. So these are some useful tools, I hope, and some advices that I hope would help you on your journey, and maybe you have others. These are some that I remember 48 years along my journey after learning meditation from my Dada. Please share any other comments that you might have, and how we can help each other as we move on this path, clash and cohesion towards the final state of supreme blessedness. Thank you. Namaskar.